Discipline is the only skill you need to unlock any other skill. Anything you want to accomplish in life, anything, you are not going to get there without discipline. Some people know me for learning Arabic in 10 months. Some people know me for making over $1 million in a year. Some people know me for being in shape. Some people know me for buying my mom a house in cash. And some people know me for how much I have memorized from the Quran. But the reality is, I'm just a miskin. And without Allah's permission, none of these would have been possible. It's Allah Azza wa Jal who gave me the insight to recognize how powerful and essential discipline really is. And you know what? This is all over the Quran and the Sunnah. And He emphasized it in the Quran, which I will later on in this video share with you guys, inshallah. But let me tell you something people don't know about those people who accomplish big things. Because discipline is something that happens behind closed doors, when nobody is watching. That part cannot be faked. You see, you can fake success in front of others on social media, but you cannot fake who you really are with yourself. But the question is, how do you actually build discipline? What does Islam teach you about how to build discipline? So in this video, we are going to talk about those practical steps, because everybody talks about being disciplined, but nobody actually gives you what you actually have to do. So I will break down in this video what actually helped me build above average discipline, the kind that allowed me, after Allah's Azza wa Jal permission, accomplish the milestones that I have accomplished in my life. And I will give you a spoiler right now. If you want to be more disciplined, you have to seek knowledge of Islam. To seek knowledge of Islam directly from the books, from the scholars, you have to learn the Arabic language. And you're going to be able to find in the description a video that explains to you how to learn Arabic from scratch, step by step. So when you finish watching this video, you can go ahead and watch that one. And that's pretty much the summary of the video. But if you want to actually watch all the steps and what to actually do in a practical way, go ahead and watch the full video, inshallah. So let's get straight into it. So the meaning of discipline sounds very nice to the ear, but many times we find ourselves lost in what to actually do to actually become disciplined. So in this video, that's what we are going to break down. So we are going to talk about the true meaning of self-control beyond just discipline. How self-control connects to iman, to faith, and entering Jannah eventually. Now, the big picture. The practical and biological reasons we lose self-control and we lose self-discipline and discipline. The role of dopamine in your environment, why knowledge and iman are the real keys to long-term discipline, how to build strong judgment and intellect through the Quran, and how is this even related to this, and how learning Arabic connects you directly to deeper knowledge of Islam, knowledge of Allah Azza wa Jal. So let's get straight into it. Discipline is not just, a skill that is nice to have or is an optional thing, but rather is a skill that you cannot build any other skill. You cannot learn any other thing. You cannot achieve anything in life except with this skill, discipline. So it's a requirement for you to just be a above average person in anything you are trying to accomplish. And in a bigger picture, is the thing you need to actually enter Jannah, is the skill that distinguishes you to make you a better Muslim, to make you a practicing Muslim, to make you a Muslim upon the deen. It all goes back to discipline. We call it discipline. Some others will call it being righteous. Some others will call it, having self-control. The point, it all goes back to the same thing, which is you being in control of yourself, of your thoughts, of your desires, of being able to tell yourself, I really want to do this, but I'm not going to do this because of this. And you use your intellect above your desires and the things that you really want to do. Now, the foundation of this discipline and how this ties to entering Jannah and being a good Muslim and the end goal as a Muslim, which is entering Jannah, right? And your akhirah, is Allah Azza wa Jal saying in the Quran, وَأَمَّا مَنْ خَافَ مَقَامَ رَبِّهِ وَنَهَى النَّفْسَ عَنِ الْهَوَى فَإِنَّ الْجَنَّةَ هِيَ الْمَأْوَى. That whoever fears standing before his Lord, right, Yawm al-Qiyamah, those who fear standing in front of their Lord, i.e. you're thinking about it every day, one day I will stand in front of my Lord. Let me make sure I don't do this, because one day I will have to tell my Lord why I did this. So for somebody who fears this, i.e. he is righteous, right, or he's trying to be, just like all of us, really, and restrained the soul from desires, the paradise will be his refuge. There's two things that will lead you there. Fearing the day that you are standing in front of your Lord. Secondly, restrain the soul from desires. Those who naha nuffs anil hawa. Naha an-nafs anil hawa. They forbid their nafs by grabbing it by the neck from al-hawa, from desires. Now desires come in many different manners. Everybody has their own weaknesses and their own desires. Some people, they have weaknesses for stealing, some others for zina, some others for junk food. Sometimes it's not even haram. It's just very detrimental to your overall being as a human being. But the point is, the one who will win Jannah as a refuge is the ones who fear continuously the day they will stand in front of Allah Azza wa Jal and restrain the soul from desires. So these two things are the things that will give you Jannah. And within these two things, one of them is restraining yourself from desires, which is self-control, self-discipline. Call it however you want. Now, it's worthy to say that many people, they think that, okay, how can I gain this? Like, what is the trick to controlling myself? I will be as reckless as I want to be. I will eat whatever I want to eat. I will sleep whenever I want to sleep. I will be whatever I want to be. And I want that secret, that skill that allows me to be disciplined. It doesn't work like that. Every human being is weak by nature. We have been made weak. نعم وخلق الإنسان ضعيفا. Allah says in the Quran. And the insan, the human being, has been created weak. So if you put yourself in environments that you shouldn't put yourself in, whether it's gradually or whether it's at once, you will break. At one point you will break. So it's not one thing that you just turn on and that's it, you discipline. And so we need to understand that it's something that's gradual, it's a lifestyle, and it's something you need to build, and it takes time. And unless you have an ongoing interest and intent to be like that on a daily basis, you are not going to get there. You are going to start working towards it, gradually getting there, and then you're going to break and you're going to go to ground zero again, and you will have to start all over again. So it's something that you need to adapt as a lifestyle in order for you to be like that, to be disciplined, to be self-disciplined, to have self-control. So in reality, how it works, rather, is that if you allow bad habits once in your day-to-day, right? You allow junk food, excessive gaming, sins, right? Even if they are small sins, right? Perhaps just bad words in the beginning. Then you start hanging too much with this friend that's a bad influence. Every time you are with him, you guys talking about things you shouldn't be talking about. Now you start thinking about things that you shouldn't be thinking about. The harder it gets, in order for you to say no to your nuffs, to yourself, when something pops up. Now when whatever, somebody approaches you and invites you to do something you know you shouldn't be doing, right? You put always yourself in this environment. You make yourself accessible to this person 1 time, 2 times, 3 times, 4 times. Before you know it, the 5th time, it's going to start becoming normal. You're going to start laughing about it. The 6th time, you're going to try and make sense in your head about how this could be halal and maybe not be that bad, until you fall into it, until you do it twice, until you do it 3 times, until you become it. So the cycle is not like from one day to another. Just like gaining discipline is not from one day to another. It's not something you switch on. The same thing, losing self-discipline, if you have gained it a little bit, will happen gradually as well. So that's how the cycle works. And it's more about spoiling yourself, right? Spoiling your nafs. Like if you have to look at your nafs like a baby or like a kid. If you allow your nafs to do whatever it asks for, now you feel like you want to do this. You know in your intellect, in the back of your head, in your logical mind, you know you shouldn't be doing this. So you go ahead and, and just let your nafs have it. Okay, khalas, I'll just so I can feel a little better and then I will get to work. But it don't work like that. You let it be once, the second time, your nafs knows you're weak. He's just going to ask you for it again. So now the first step on how to fix all of this. Now we understand a little bit how self-discipline works, how to gain discipline, and how you lose discipline. The first step in order for you to protect your discipline from leaking. Once you have gained a little bit of discipline, how you protect it so it doesn't leak. So you have to guard what enters your system. You have to guard and protect what enters your system. You have to protect your system, right? So from junk food, from late nights, from video games, from social media scrolling, from music, all of these different things, it spikes your dopamine levels and it lowers your resistance and it lowers your strength to hold them back from impulses. Every time you have an impulse, oh man, I really want to eat 2 burgers right now, man, or them juicy burgers, or I really want to stay late today talking to my friends, talking to my significant other, whatever it might be. I really want to play games for 5 hours, social media scrolling, comedy or whatever it might be, scrolling, messes up your sleep. Oh, I really want to listen to this new song that dropped. Yeah, music is haram, but it's just once. Next thing you know, you're listening to music every day. And so if you guard yourself, if you guard your system from this entering, obviously what's haram shouldn't even enter anyways. And what's not haram, you shouldn't allow it to enter yourself if you know it's not going to get you closer to Jannah. And if you know it's not going to be a benefit of yours, little by little, make your intention to end this. If you know eating this junk food, it's not helping your health at all. All it's doing is fulfilling your desires. It's giving you a spike and a burst of dopamine after you eat it. Stay away from it. Eat from what the earth has created after Allah Azza wa Jal power, obviously. If you know late nights, sleeping late, it don't help. Stop doing it. If you have done it once, you went to sleep early, you woke up early and you felt like, whoa, this is like, we are in a new world. Me living in the morning is a new world. Then just adapt it as a habit. And one after one, start dropping these habits so you can become somebody who always does these things, so you can feel better. And the most important thing to understand here is that when your dopamine levels are constantly high, they high because of these different variables that you have in your life throughout the day that gives you bursts of weak dopamine, cheap dopamine, like junk food, video games, scrolling on social media. What happens is that it makes you overall as a human being addicted to this cheap dopamine. It's like drugs. Like every time you do these things that make your nuffs feel good, scrolling social media, immediate dopamine. What it does is now your nuffs, your system gets addicted to this cheap dopamine. And what happens is that the things that will allow you to become a better person, a better Muslim, a better human being, a better student of knowledge, a better whatever it might be, is going to be through channels that don't give you cheap dopamine. It will never be cheap dopamine. You always have to be able to delay gratification. It's never something you do from one day to another, or you do there and then, and you feel the dopamine straight away. Unless it's a workout, for example. But throughout the workout, it's going to be like maybe 40 minutes, 1 hour workout. It's going to be painful throughout the workout. After the workout, you're going to feel good. You're going to sleep good. But it's not like scrolling on social media. You scroll, dopamine burst. You scroll, dopamine burst. You scroll, dopamine burst. However, when you're working out, when you're studying, when you're seeking knowledge, when does the dopamine come? You're lifting. Somebody's telling you, come on, another one. It's hard at that moment. You're tired. After this set, you're tired. You got to go again on another set. Whether you're working out or whatever you're working out, you're boxing, you got to go another round. It's painful. And you only feel the dopamine burst after an hour, after 2 hours, after 3 hours. And same thing with seeking knowledge. When do you get the dopamine burst? When do you get that reward? It's after you gain the knowledge, you go and then read the Quran, and you understand and it hits your iman, then you get the dopamine burst. It's not as you are reading. Same thing with junk food. You eat one bite, dopamine burst straight away. So you see what gives you dopamine bursts and immediate reward to your nuffs. And the things that give you reward in a bigger, like you have to wait longer, you have to delay your gratification in order for you to get that reward. And so your nuffs will not allow you to do those things if you are constantly getting cheap and quick rewards through things that give you cheap dopamine. And so the first step is to be aware of that and to stop it, to only force yourself to do hard things. As cliche as it sounds, The more you force yourself to do hard things, whether it's working out, cold baths. There's something about doing cold baths. First thing in the morning, take a cold shower, you do something difficult. And the burst of dopamine is after the pain. But then it sets you up for the rest of the day. And so if you force yourself to do things that are hard and you decrease the things that give you cheap, immediate dopamine bursts, overall you are getting closer and closer to being a more disciplined individual. Now the second step to gain discipline is to increase in iman, to constantly doing things that increase your iman, that get your iman strong. Reason being is because even if your dopamine is high, even if you fall into a loophole of you are an absolute addict of dopamine things, whether it's through watching things on the internet that you shouldn't be watching, whether it's through gaming, whether it's through junk food, you are obese, whatever you might be, the only thing that can get you out of that is either somebody that forces you to do it, like an extreme coach, or high levels of iman. Wallahi, when they say iman and faith move mountains, it don't matter what the levels of your dopamine are. If you get a burst of iman, if Allah Azza wa Jal allows you to do so, wallahi, it gets you out of that situation like anything other. And you probably experienced this, right? A lot of us, we had a jahiliyyah, our personal jahiliyyah.
Yeah, so that's what it is. My girl, my guess on your brain, mom.
So this video that you just watched of me, this is literally me 1 year before I started practicing. I was the type of person you would say, this person would never ever be a righteous practicing Muslim. I'm not saying I'm righteous right now, but we are above average for the time we live in. We are above average practicing Muslims. Now it's my main priority is to please Allah Azza wa Jal. And in order to get here from there, wallahi, the only thing it was is high iman. It wasn't some secret skill that I have. It was literally just, I really have to do this for the sake of Allah. And I remember when I started practicing, one hadith that was very constant and present in my mind was, "Man taraka shay'an lillahi awwada khayran minhu." Whoever leaves something for the sake of Allah Azza wa Jal, Allah Azza wa Jal will give him something better. And this hadith helped me emotionally to leave off so many things. And so when I say the second step is to strengthen your iman, I really, really, really mean this. Like if you strengthen your iman, self-discipline is a no-brainer. Because all you have to do is read a quote, read a hadith, سَمِعْنَا وَأَطَعْنَا. We heard it and we did it. Just like the Sahaba where we heard a hadith and we did it. So faith, strengthen your faith is very important. And the reason why is because if you compare it against the opposite, you will see that cheap dopamine, it weakens your system. It weakens your thinking because now you're thinking of doing something and you say, I know it's not good, but khalas, I'll just do it. You go against your intellect. So you're doing dumb things pretty much. You are becoming more and more retarded because you are following your desires. You're not following your intellect. When you don't follow your intellect, you do things that don't make sense. If you do things that don't make sense, you're basically becoming dumber and dumber. So it makes your body lazy then because you have weak thinking. So you do things, for example, eat things that you know it will crash your energy. So now your body is lazy. And so you become somebody that has poor judgment. So as we said, having a strong faith will give you the craziest and strongest discipline. However, going into step 3, what is it that gives you a high iman? How do you get a stronger iman? And the only path to getting a stronger faith, the only path to increasing your iman, to getting a stronger faith is through knowledge. Reason being is, first of all, it just makes sense, right? The more you know about Allah Azza wa Jal, the more you know what out of this world in terms of characteristics and His name and His attributes, what He's capable of doing, what He did in the past. The more you read the stories in the Quran, the miracles, the more you fear Allah Azza wa Jal and the more you want to submit to Him. So the more disciplined you become because you want to please Him and He is your master, He is your Lord. And as well, Allah Azza wa Jal, He tells us in the Quran in Surah Fatir, He says, إِنَّمَا يَخْشَى اللَّهَ مِنْ عِبَادِهِ الْعُلَمَاء. That rather, the only ones and who truly fear Allah Azza wa Jal of His servants are al-ulama, the scholars. Al-ulama coming from the verbal noun in the Arabic language, ilm, knowledge, ulama. Allah says only those who truly fear Allah among His servants are the scholars. Those who truly fear Allah Azza wa Jal are the scholars. Now, what makes the scholars different from the other people in this world is their knowledge. So the more knowledge you gain, the more you fear Allah Azza wa Jal. And Allah Azza wa Jal, again, I really want to emphasize on this ayah, only those who truly fear Allah among His servants are the scholars. Only those who truly fear Allah among His servants are the scholars. Surah Fatir 35:28. And so the more knowledge you have, the more you fear Allah Azza wa Jal. It just only makes sense. And the more you fear Allah Azza wa Jal, the more you become disciplined. Because most of the things that hurt yourself, Allah Azza wa Jal already prohibit them, or dhammaha, or He has looked or spoken about in a negative way in the Quran anyways. Like it's not good for you anyways. So the more knowledge you have, the more self-control you have, self-discipline, the more you have of a better judgment, because your judgment will align with Allah Azza wa Jal, with Allah Azza wa Jal will, with what He wants you to do. And the more you will have a sense of guilt when doing unproductive things. This is why Allah Azza wa Jal says in the Quran, Ya Yahya, khudhi al-kitaba biquwwa wa ataynahu al-hukma sabiyya. He says, Oh Yahya, take this book with strength, what was revealed to him. And ataynahu, and we gave him a sound judgment while still a boy. Meaning he became mature, he had a sound judgment. He thinks like a man, like a stoic, responsible man when he was a child, when he was a boy, because he took this book with strength. So holding onto the Quran, onto the revelation of Allah Azza wa Jal, will give you a clear understanding of good and bad. And if you have a good understanding of good and bad, aligned with what Allah Azza wa Jal wants you to do, then it will develop your intellect and it will develop a self-control thing. Because the more intellect, the more logical you think, these won't please Allah. The more you're going to feel stupid doing it, or even thinking about doing it. And so that makes you become a more stoic man, a more responsible man, a more disciplined man that wants to please Allah Azza wa Jal. And every little thing that you do in this world is aligned with Allah Azza wa Jal will. So the summary of this is that you have to first protect your dopamine levels, then strengthen your iman, and then gain knowledge. If you protect your dopamine levels, at least intellectually, like just know that this hurts you, right? Which I'm pretty sure if you watch until here, we are on the same page in terms of knowing that these cheap dopamine things, junk food, gaming, social media, it weakens your system. Second thing is strengthen your iman. Are we on the same page? That you have to strengthen your iman. If you have high iman, it don't really matter anything else, because everything will lead you to wanting to please Allah Azza wa Jal. And third thing, how do you get high iman? Is by gaining knowledge. إِنَّمَا يَخْشَى اللَّهَ مِنْ عِبَادِهِ الْعُلَمَاء. Only those who fear Allah Azza wa Jal, or those who truly fear Allah Azza wa Jal, are the scholars. The more you get closer to them, the more knowledge you gain, the more self-control, the more fear of Allah Azza wa Jal you gain. So in order for you to access the real raw knowledge, the heavyweight knowledge, you have to know the Arabic language. You have to know the Arabic language. That's if you want to be a above average type of person. If you want to stay on the average, typical, reminders on social media and so on, and you want to live your life like that, that's fine. But if you want to access the books you see in the background, you want to access the scholars, you want to be able to call them directly, you have to learn the Arabic language. The first step to knowledge will always start with the Arabic language. So if you want to learn the Arabic language, go ahead and watch the first video in the description, or the first pinned comment, or this video right here is the same one. Go ahead and click it. So if you want to be more disciplined, you have to gain more fear of Allah Azza wa Jal. If you want to gain more fear of Allah Azza wa Jal, you have to gain more knowledge. If you want to gain more knowledge, you have to do the first step of gaining knowledge, which is acquiring the first tool that will give you access to that knowledge, which is the Arabic language. And I'll see you guys on the next one. Assalamu alaikum.